All right, hello, POLSCI 1. I'm getting this up now. I know it might be a couple weeks away, but I wanted to get you your study guide for the first test. All right, so what I do is I give you the three essay questions, and what happens is I put all three in the canvas, and then it selects one of these three for you. So if you go in and then try to look at the essay question and um, get out and then want me to reset your test for you, that's fine. Because what's going to happen is you're probably not going to get that one again. You'll get a different one. So study all three. I'm giving you all three right now. One of these three will be on the test. Okay? And also, it's good to study all three of these because if I don't pick the other two, they're probably going to be in the multiple choice section. So study it and you'll be better prepared. So this is half the test. This is 50 points. Um, so just study them. I'll go over these briefly so that you know what I'm looking for. So the questions are: what are the functions of the Constitution? And then what is the structure of the U.S. Constitution? Um, Second essay question: what were the biggest disagreements during the Constitution Convention? What were the plans that were proposed, and what was the compromise? And lastly, I want to spend more money on the military. How does my bill become law? All right, so let's go over each of these on other slides. So what are the functions of the Constitution? What was the structure of the U.S. Constitution? So for this, I'm looking for three things to talk about. Okay, one is it grants powers. One function is it grants powers. Who is it grant power to? The national government. And it limits powers. Whose powers does it limit? The national government. And then outlines the structure of government is the third. Now, it's an essay question. Probably my favorite question about essay questions is how long does it need to be? Um, well, if you're this short, you're not really answering an essay question, okay? So you need to explain to me. You need to go in depth. You need to show me that you know about this. So, when you talk, okay, it grants powers. It grants powers to the national government. What powers are given? Don't just say it grants powers, but tell me what powers are actually given to the national government. What are those powers called? We went over these in all these videos that I've done, right? So you need to talk about these things. You need to show me that you know it. Teach me. If you can teach me, then the better job you do teaching me, the better score you're going to get. So that's the way I want you to treat essay questions. I want you to fully answer the questions. Everything you can remember, you might want to put down. So yes, it grants powers, but you need to give me more than just granting power. What power is given to the national government? What are those powers called? So I'm leading you in the right direction. I'm looking for these things, but then I also need you to explain these things to me. So be sure to go over those things in depth, okay? So talk about enumerated powers. Talk about the Bill of Rights. Talk about what amendments are. What amendments limits powers. They can't take away your right to free speech. They can't legally search your car, right? And then you talk about outline structure of government. Well, I asked you in chapter 2 to remember three things about government. Articles 1, 2, and 3. Well, there you go. Outline structure of government. So tell me, what does Article 1 do? What does Article 2 do? What does Article 3 do? You go over those things. And then give me examples. What is in Article 1? Well, the legislative branch. It gives the legislative the power to make laws. Things like that. I need you to go in depth. So don't be brief, but go in depth, okay? So these are the things I'll be looking for the first one. Now this one. What were the biggest disagreements during the Constitutional Convention? What were the plans that were proposed and what was the compromise? So this one's really in depth. I'm looking for 5 different things, right? There were 5 big disagreements. Power. Who should have more power? The national government, state government. You need to explain that to me. That is a disagreement. Some people want national government to have more power. Some people want state governments to have more power. So when we talk about power, it relates to how much power one should have over the other. So that is important. Also, the legislative branch. What is the legislative branch going to look like? How is it going to be populated? Same thing with the executive branch. How is it going to be populated? What is it going to look like? Same thing with judicial branch. So all 3 branches are here. That's a disagreement. Those are disagreements. What are those things going to look like? So you're going to talk about those. And the last thing is the issue of slavery. How is slavery going to be treated? So we look at it through each plan. Okay? So now we talk about the plans. You have the Virginia plan. Oops. Sorry. Jersey plan. So what I need you to do is, what does Virginia say about power? Who should be more powerful? National government, state governments. What does the New Jersey plan say about power? Who should be more powerful? The national government, state governments. What did Virginia plan with the legislative branch? What did New Jersey plan with the legislative branch? And so on. You need to talk about those 5 disagreements with each of those plans. Okay? So you need to tell me about it. And go in depth. Don't be brief. The more you put down, probably the better you're going to do, because you're telling me everything that I'm looking for. And then the compromise is the great compromise, right? Also known as the Connecticut Compromise. It's the Connecticut Compromise. All right, so now when you look at the Great Compromise or Connecticut Compromise, what do they say about power? Power is shared between the national government and state governments, right? What's the legislative look like today? What does the executive look like today? What does the judicial look like today? We've gone over legislative in the other chapters, right? I just did a video on executive. What does the executive look like today? Who votes in the executive? Do we have multiple executives? You need to talk about all of these things when you talk about that. So I'm giving you the outline of what the stuff I'm looking for, but you also need to go in depth and explain each of these things. What is power? What does the Virginia plan say about power? What does New Jersey say about power? What does the Great Compromise do with power? You need to talk about these 5 things, and in these plans and in the compromise, you need to make sure you talk about all those things when you're doing the essay. All right, last one. I want to spend more money on the military. How does my bill become law? All right, again, this is an in-depth question. And I think I went over it when I did the Chapter 3 notes. Where does this bill start? Does it start in the House or does it start in the Senate? There's a specific reason why I wrote this the way I did. I want to spend more money on the military. Hopefully that helps you. Then you need to tell me where it goes. So introduced on the floor, right? And sent to appropriate committee. If the appropriate committee likes it, they send it on to a subcommittee. Subcommittee likes it. You need to tell me what the subcommittee does with the bill. They do 2 things with the bill. They hold hearings, call witnesses and experts to testify, and they mark up the bill. Once they like it, they send it back up to the appropriate committee. From the appropriate committee. I guess I'll put it down. From the appropriate committee, placed on a calendar. Which calendar? Which calendar is it put on? And it's called off the calendar. A spelling calendar. So it's called off the calendar. Who calls it off the calendar? Depends on where you're at. If you're in the House, it goes to the Rules Committee. It's in the Senate, it's sent right to the floor because there is no Rules Committee in the Senate, right? And then put to a vote. You need to go through each of these steps in both houses. So you have one side, you talk about the House and all the steps through the House, and then you got to go through the Senate and all the steps through the Senate. Then I mentioned it before, it's sent to a conference committee. Conference committee works out differences between a House passed bill and a Senate passed bill. You need to explain all this stuff. Through this, you're not going to give me an outline of the essay of the question. You're going to give me an essay. So you write it up in essay format. Give me complete sentences. Talk about every step. Where does the bill start? Okay, it starts in the House or Senate. Why does it start in the House or Senate? You have to explain that to me. Introduced on the floor. From the floor, it's sent to the appropriate committee. You need to tell me which committee it's sent to. What does the subcommittee do with the bill? Go back to the appropriate committee. What calendar is it placed on? Why is it put on that calendar? Who calls it off the calendar? What does the Rules Committee do with the bill? What can the Senate do with the filibuster? Put to a vote. What does a conference committee do with the bill? And then who signs the bill to make it law? You have to go through each step, and I've written it in a certain way. I want to spend more money on the military for that reason, so that it goes through each of these steps. If you have questions, you can talk with me in Zoom, and I'll be more than happy to go over these steps with you if you want to go more in depth. I just want to keep these videos short. So hopefully this helps you. Hopefully it helps you what I'm looking for. And hopefully you're better prepared for the test. If not, just come see me during my Zoom office hours, and I'll be more than happy to help you. All right, good luck. Bye.